I hear you're a man who knows how to get things. I've been known to locate certain things time from time. So what is up, guys? We are back with yet another video. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh my gosh, he has a schedule! No, not really. I had free time at summer vacation. I figured, YouTube. Guys, if you know me personally, you know that 1994 is my favorite year in film history. Why, you may ask? Well, let me just give you a few titles that were released that year. Forrest Gump, Lion King, Speed, Pulp Fiction, The Mask, True Lies. Guys, it is the greatest year in film history. And to cap it all off, my favorite movie of all time was released in 1994. I am speaking, of course, of The Shawshank Redemption. Now, if you don't know what this movie is, what is wrong with you? Get off this channel right now and you go and watch that movie. However, if you have seen this movie, you know what I'm talking about. Let me just set the scene for you. Directed by Frank Darabont. You may better know him from The Green Mile, the first season of The Walking Dead, pretty much anything that is just awesome. Starring Tim Robbins, Morgan Freeman, I think you might know who that is, Bob Gunton, and Mr. Krabs. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The guy who voices Mr. Krabs is in this gritty crime drama, playing perhaps the most ruthless and cold-hearted prison guard you will ever meet. And it's gorgeous. So, let me give you the story. Now, of course, this is spoiler-free, so if you haven't seen the movie, even though it's been out for, I don't know, 22 years, something like that, you're okay. So the movie starts off, and you have Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, and he's being convicted of murdering his wife and her lover. Now, you go into this thinking he's not guilty. Why do you think that? Well, probably because he says, "I'm not guilty. I did not do this. I promise you, I did not do this." They think he did it. So he is thrown into Shawshank Penitentiary, where we are introduced to Warden Norton and Mr. Hadley. This is, of course, Bob Gunton playing the warden, and Mr. Krabs playing Mr. Hadley. I'm sorry, the guy does have a name, I just don't know it. So you are introduced to this strong, powerful character in Warden Norton, and he just emerges from the shadows, and you think, this guy means business. And to prove it, they show you this one bit where this guy asks, "So when do we eat?" And immediately the warden is on him, and he has Hadley beat the living mess out of him. And it's awesome. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. And it's awesome, and probably that really low whispery voice that probably doesn't sound that great, but it's awesome. So Dufresne is thrown into Shawshank Penitentiary, and all the while, you see him kind of standing out from everyone. He is targeted by a gang, and he's having a hard time. Until he is introduced to the character known as Red, otherwise known as Morgan Freeman, and it is awesome. The chemistry these two guys have. Now, Morgan Freeman plays this guy who, he's the guy who can get for you. He's the guy who sneaks all the stuff into prison, and he's really good at it. So that's where they first meet each other. They're doing business, and over time you see this friendship start to grow between the two of them, this camaraderie, and you really do feel that these two are just really, really good friends, and they're able to have joy in knowing that they have each other's back in perhaps the darkest and most depressing place they could possibly be. So anyway, as time goes on, you find out that, of course, there are a bunch of kind of secret dealings going on in the prison, the warden starts to target Andy because he's not like the rest of them. No, this guy's smart. This guy's a banker. And all of a sudden, he starts getting jobs with the guards, and he starts getting friendly with them. He starts, like, rubbing elbows with all these really high-class people in this prison. And then the warden starts to kind of expose all these shady dealings that he's got going on. And Andy is the front man for it. And he does a great job, and he covers his tracks very well. So this all builds and it builds, and Andy just changes this whole place in a matter of a few years, and that's actually an exaggeration. I think it's more like 20 years. Um, but yeah, so all this is happening, and then you are introduced to the character of Tommy. And Tommy is this young kid, he's rock and roll, kind of a minor character, and you think, well, there's not much that's going to come out of this. And then he produces the story that maybe Andy told the truth. Maybe Andy's actually innocent. And from that, you just get so much more conflict which arises from Andy and the warden, and tensions just build until the film's climax. And I'm not going to give away the climax, because if you give away the climax, this film means nothing, and you won't watch it, and then my job is ruined. So what do I think of this movie? This movie is grade A awesomeness. First of all, Frank Darabont is great at doing prison movies. I love his other movie they did, Green Mile, which starred Tom Hanks. This guy gets, like, prisons. He gets, like, grimy, and he gets depressing settings, and it shows. It shows because there's so much darkness and things there in this movie. There's so much darkness that shows all the gloom and depression that these prisoners are feeling. And then towards the end of the movie, where you see that they have hope, then he starts to let in the lighting, and the shots become more hopeful. And it's just expert direction. And of course, Tim Robbins kills it as Andy Dufresne. And Morgan Freeman's Morgan Freeman. He narrates the movie. You cannot go wrong with the narration by Morgan Freeman. In my opinion, he is awesome. Bob Gunton as the warden is incredible. I love him when he does roles as, like, cops or police force. If you've ever seen the movie Demolition Man, it's that guy. It's the bald dude. And he kills it every time. He is the best villain I've ever seen. And, guys, words cannot describe how awesome I think this movie is. Of course, it did come out the same year as Forrest Gump. It got, in my opinion, it was an Oscar snub. And I love Forrest Gump. I'll probably do a review of that sometime in the near future. But in my opinion, Shawshank Redemption was the greatest movie to come out of 1994. It is the greatest movie ever made. It is my favorite movie ever made. Guys, this movie absolutely gets an A+. So guys, if you like this movie review, let me know. Tell me if I'm a terrible movie reviewer or if I'm a great movie reviewer. If I'm a terrible one, lie. If I'm a great one, tell the truth. Guys, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it. If you didn't like it, like it. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you want to see on this channel. Guys, I want to get a catchphrase. Let me know any potential ideas for catchphrases, and I will certainly take them into consideration. But for right now, guys, this is Dougie Fresh in the Flesh, and I will see you later.